Redemption is a magical compact book from Red Nist and Three Monkeys Publishing. It contains 6 card routines with seemingly simple premises, but very clever hidden mechanisms, which can take popular effects or versions of popular effects to the next level. Although I like this book a lot, it certainly won't be for everybody, particularly for new beginners. I'll explain why very soon. Is this book right for you? Today, we're going to find out. If you find this review helpful, please hit that subscribe button so you never miss an upload. And if you like, I have a link in the description down below where if you purchase anything from Three Monkeys website, you get a nice discount on your order. So if you would like to purchase anything from Three Monkeys Magic, please use the link below. This will help support the channel because when you purchase something using the link below, I get a very small commission, which I can use to help improve the channel and give you more reviews and honest opinions. So it's a win-win. You get a discount and you're helping support the channel as well. What do you get when you purchase Redemption? When you pay $45 to Three Monkeys Publishing, what you receive is this very nice, beautiful, soft cover book, Redemption. You could tell that Red Nist has put so much information and subtleties into this book. The artwork in the book is very nice. It has a red, black, and white color scheme. And in addition to teaching the effects, the routines also have stories prior to teaching them. So it can be possibly an experience Red Nist had performing this effect or how the effect came to be. And I found that very entertaining. Now, this isn't a book that's going to teach you crazy new sleight of hand. It's more of a book that's going to take common sleight of hand moves and use them in very interesting ways that take existing effects or versions of existing effects to the next level. There are so many very cool psychological tips in this as well, which we'll get to shortly. What I really enjoy about the routines is that although they seem so simple to the audience, it seems like there's nothing happening. And this almost reminds me of Ben Earl. While it seems like there's nothing happening, the magician is doing all the work they need to do. And this book really won't hold your hand with sleight of hand moves. So if you get this, I highly recommend you at least have some knowledge of magic. For example, card controls, culling, passes, double lifts, all that stuff. Now, let's talk about the routines. The first routine is my favorite of all the routines in the book. It's a phase for an ambitious card routine. You can put it in the middle or end. And it's very cool because you're one step ahead of the audience, and this doesn't just fool lay people, it fools magicians as well. They point to any card they see, and you visibly put that card in the middle of the deck, and without any manipulation, no Marlowe's tilt, you turn over the top card, and it's their card. This resets instantly, and it's very strong, and it can be performed completely surrounded. And it's nearly impossible for the spectators to reverse engineer because you're always one step ahead of them. That's what I love. This can be added to any ambitious card routine, and it's a very strong phase. The second routine in the book is called Joker's Love Sandwiches. It starts off as an effect where the spectator chooses a card. Let's say the Ace of Spades. You return it to the deck, and then the two jokers, one by one, the two jokers vanish. And when you spread through the deck, you find that jokers sandwiched one card, their Ace of Spades. Then without any apparent manipulation, 3 more cards appear between the jokers. So now the jokers are all of a sudden sandwiching all 4 of the aces, the Ace of Clubs, Hearts, Spades, or Diamonds. Now, that is very strong. And you can even make the magic happen in the spectator's hands, which makes it even stronger. Now, Red likes to use a certain type of pass in a visual manner in this effect. If you have this, you know what I mean. I didn't like that method. Instead, what I do is a different color change, then I just do a cut. And although that is a little bit more simple and less efficient, I feel more comfortable doing that than the method proposed by Red. So yeah. If you have this book, you'll understand what I mean. If you don't have this book, you won't understand what I mean. But this trick could be performed around 180 degrees angles. You won't want people beside you or behind you. And all you need is a normal deck of cards and it resets instantly. This is a very strong trick as well. The Mystery of Mime is the next routine taught, and it's similar to an invisible deck, but with just a normal deck of cards. Now, this has a very interesting convincer or subtlety that makes the audience really believe that they were holding an invisible card. And it's that the audience holding the card does something to the card when I'll explain it. So the spectator holds the card tightly and puts it back in the deck. And it turns out the spectator's named card that they put in the deck in their imagination, it turns out that is the only face down card in the deck. And not only that, there's signs of damage from the spectator holding that card a little bit too hard and crimping it. And although this may seem like a small detail, it can make a big difference if presented properly. It can be a very sweet convincer. It resets instantly and it's a very casual effect. I wouldn't perform this over an invisible deck, but if I didn't have an invisible deck on me and I wanted to replicate a somewhat similar effect, this is what I would do. It's a really nice trick for on the offbeat because it totally catches them off guard, because this does require a little bit more card manipulation. It's not an easy routine. You'll need to do some manipulation. So I would recommend doing those moves on an offbeat moment. I would not do it when you just did a trick that is super impressive and now there's a lot of heat on your hands. I would not do it at that moment. You have to be careful when you perform this trick, because if you perform it at the wrong time, the misdirection won't work as well. But I think this is going to be great. This routine, the Mystery of Mime, would be great for a casual environment. It could even be performed in a professional situation. It just depends, because you want to be a little bit careful with the misdirection. I wouldn't perform this when my hands are being burnt. That's all I have to say. The next routine taught is probably my least favorite out of all of them. It's called invisible dice. You have your spectator lose a card in the deck, roll 2 invisible dice, and when you count to the position of the added numbers on the invisible dice, it lands on the spectator's chosen card. Now, although in theory, this sounds like a very cool effect, not all values of the spectator's dice can work. And you may need to have the spectators change their mind, which really takes away from something like this where there's only a few limited options anyway. So when you tell them to change their mind with there being such a limited amount of options anyway, that just makes it feel a little bit suspicious to me. Also, I felt the teaching on this section could have been more thorough, as how to get the spectator's card into the setup is not covered at all. It's not a bad trick, but I feel it was more of a throw-in compared to the other routines in this book. It's a cool method if you want to force a card in a novel way, but I probably wouldn't perform it that often unless I just want to show off a cool force to my magician buddies. The second last routine taught in the book is called Totally Psychedelic, and it is very interesting to me because the selected card is not seen by you and it's not controlled to the top or bottom. It's truly in the middle of the deck, and it's very easy to do because the single move you have to do is totally covered by misdirection. Essentially, you have your spectator say stop at a card, it's truly lost in the middle of the deck. Then you get 4 random cards based on when they say to stop. You grab 4 random cards, you add the values of those cards, and when you deal down to the number of the sum, you reach their card, which is very cool because that's almost like a chosen card at random number, because it's truly a random number that you deal down to. You don't force a number. It changes every single time. And what I like is that it feels very random and fair. One thing I have to say about this routine is that you will need to do some mental math, which can be a put off for some people. So if you hate mental math and you don't do it well under high pressure, then this probably won't be good for you. However, if you like mental math and you can handle a little bit, this is absolutely worth exploring. What I really like is the psychological makeup of this effect. I like the routining and structuring that is done by Red that makes it so convincing and makes absolutely everything fly under the radar. The way that Red has structured Totally Psychedelic means that the spectator feels that nothing is happening. And during the moment they feel that nothing's happening, that is the moment that you do the one move, and it is heavily covered by misdirection. So I really like this routine. I think this is something that you should take a look at, especially because of the psychological framing and routining. That's Totally Psychedelic. Let's move on to the last trick in this book. What are the pros and cons of redemption? The pros are the routines take classics and make them so much more convincing by either adding kickers or using classic sleights in unique ways, or even adding the spectator in on the magic, making them feel like they are the magic. It's also a nice compact book. This is great for travel. It's not a thick hardcover book that's super tall. It's a very readable book, surprisingly. Although it's just card tricks, it's still very readable. It's great. There's great artwork and there's some illustrations which are nice. There wasn't too many illustrations and there wasn't too much of a lack of illustrations. Also, there's variety in the routines. Some of them are for walk around, some of them are for table magic, some of them are for more intimate performances. It's also, all of the routines reset instantly. As for the cons, I guess the invisible dice routine, I felt like that didn't really go into as much detail as I hoped for. I feel like they should have discussed more how to get the card that the spectator selects into that position and how to justify it. But instead, they didn't really do that. They focused more on the method. Another con is that it's only card tricks. There's no coin tricks, there's no rope tricks, it's just card tricks. And the last con is that some routines are not as practical as others in certain environments. For example, I guess the second last trick, totally psychedelic. You do need a dealing surface. You need a surface to deal cards onto. So that won't be as good for walk around as maybe something like Joker's Life Sandwiches, which doesn't need a table. So yeah, some of the routines aren't as good for certain situations. But there's something in here for everyone. And what percent am I giving this? I am giving Redemption an 85%. I think this is a very good read. I think if you are an intermediate magician and you're looking to create more magic in the spectator's hands, if that's what you're looking for, then Redemption is for you. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to use the discount code in the description. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.